I'm now going to replace the silicone around this bath. As you can see, it's not in very good condition at all. You will also notice that there's actually a sealing strip underneath the silicone which is going to make it harder. In order to get a good seal, I think we're going to have to cut that sealing strip off. I must point out that this bathroom is being replaced in a few months' time, so this is only a temporary job. I now have a sharp knife, and I'm now going to press down on top of the silicone and cut all the way through it. Once I've done that, I can then get the blade underneath and I can cut the silicone and the seal strip underneath. So it's now starting to come away. As you can see, the actual seal itself is rather tough. It is tough plastic, that, so it could take quite a while to remove all this. Normally silicone's not that difficult to remove, but because of the actual strip that's been used, it is probably behind the tiles and there's a lot more difficulty here. Well, I'm not going to lie to you, that probably took over an hour to remove all of that silicone and that seal strip that was on top of the bath. If you look in the bath, you can actually see all the residue of what has been removed. I'm now going to apply some silicone sealant remover. So what you do with this is you scrape off as much silicone as you can, and then you go around and you paint this on, and this chemical actually attacks what is left of the silicone. Normally this works very well, so we're going to give this a go. It's important whenever you use anything like this that you read the instructions, because yours may be slightly different to mine. You will notice that I'm wearing gloves, and I've also got a pair of safety glasses on. We're now just going to leave that for approximately 15 minutes before we scrape off the remaining silicone. I'm now going to use a silicone removal tool like that to remove the remainder of the silicone. You will notice that I am wearing some disposable gloves. You can see that the silicone is very easy to remove now because the chemical has attacked it. I'm now just going to continue scraping this off until we get rid of all of the old silicone. I've now given that a wipe using a wonder wipe, and you can see that has cleaned off the majority of the silicone. I'm now going to spray the mouldy areas with some mould and mildew remover. We're just going to leave that for 3 or 4 minutes before wiping it off. I'm now going to wipe off the mildew remover using some damp paper towel. Now that we've cleaned off most of the silicone, we need to give it a good cleaning using some methylated spirits. Methylated spirits is just a kind of alcohol that is very clean. That will clean the area sufficiently, and that will also then evaporate, leaving us a good surface to apply the silicone to. So you'll notice that I put some disposable gloves on. I'm now just going to take some paper towel, apply the methylated spirits to the towel, and then clean the area thoroughly. The bath will flex considerably once it's full of water and somebody sat in it. It will pull away from the wall slightly. So for that reason, it's a good idea to fill the bath with water before you actually start applying the silicone. You can now see that I've filled the bath with water. I am now going to fill the gap at this end, and then I'm going to tool that off so it's nice and flat. So I'm just going to take the silicone gun and I'm just going to fill up that gap. And this is purely to seal the actual gap. I'm not that concerned about getting a neat finish on this. I purely want this to fill the gap, then no water can get down there. I'm now going to remove quite a lot of that silicone using the Fungicide tool. That is because it has a very small edge on it. I'm going to try and get it with that bead so that at a later date we can go over it with a larger bead. So I'm now going to tool that off. That will actually seal the bath and prevent any water from getting down there, although it's not that neat at this moment in time. Sealing around the bath taps is incredibly difficult and it is very awkward. I'm now going to apply a bead to the short edge of the bath, and then I'm going to tool that off using the 10mm tool. So I'm going to take the fugi tool, I'm going to place it in the corner, and then I'm going to start drawing it this way to remove the excess silicone. I'm just going to remove the excess. I'm then going to work in the opposite corner going to the centre, although you won't be able to see this. I've now installed the two guides that will prevent the tool from slipping into the grout lines. I can then take the tool and tool all the way across. And as you can see, that has given us a very neat silicone line. We now just need to do the long length of the bath, which is going to be a bit easier because there will be a little bit more room when we're doing that. It's absolutely critical when you're doing this that you choose a good quality sealant that has an inhibitor in that will stop any mould. If you use a cheap silicone, it will go mouldy in no time at all. So I'm now going to run a long bead in the full length of the bath. And then I'm going to apply a bead this way and go back the opposite way with it. I'm now going to take care of each corner first, so I'm going to tool the silicone in the corner. And I'm going to do exactly the same in this corner. I'm then going to fit the guide rails, and I'm going to do a continuous bead until we get a build-up of silicone on the tool, and then we'll stop and clean it off. I've now wiped the excess off the tool, and I am now going to continue. I'm now actually going to start at this side again. So as you can see, we've got a large amount of silicone on there. You can actually reuse this should you need to, or you can dispose of it. And you can see now that we have got a reasonably good silicone line there on the bath. And if you look just there, we have took a little bit too much silicone off there. So I'm just going to fill that in using the silicone gun. I'm just going to put a bit more in the corner. And then I'm just going to tool that off again. So that has now given us a neat bead. You will notice that some silicone has spread up slightly. We can remove that using the silicone removal tool just by dragging that along the top. That's how to get a neat silicone line around a bath. We're going to leave that for as long as possible now to dry before we actually let the water drain out of the bath. I actually waited for about half an hour, and then I've actually applied the big bead at the back of the taps, which is approximately 14mm, so that is a very large bead. Obviously I couldn't get in with the camera when I was filming that because it's very tight in this bathroom, but you can see that the bead is a reasonable bead and that will keep out any water.